welcome back. I'm Melissa Pineda, and today I will be discussing the book Get Organized, Do More in Less Time by Clara Conlon. So this was published in 2020. Clara Conlon is a leadership and productivity coach and author, and I believe this is an only Audible book. But yeah, don't quote me on that. I listened to it, obviously, on Audible, and it was really good. It was very interesting. Right now, they kind of switch it up sometimes on Audible. Some things are free, some things aren't. This one is free, so if you want, you can grab it now on Audible for free and listen to it there. It's a good one. It's one of those that sort of get you thinking about how you can be more productive, more organized. We all feel that way to a certain extent, but yeah, Conlon kind of talks to people that are at different stages of disorganization in their lives and helps them kind of get back on their feet and start small and become a productive and organized individual. So if you think this might be for you, let's dive in. Conlon says to start at the end instead of the beginning. So have a goal in mind and work backwards. So why are you doing this, or why are you working toward something? Connect with your underlying purpose, she says. Set goals in the areas of your life that need attention. And she says that we should ask ourselves, like, what habits do we need to have each day to work toward and accomplish your goals? She also suggests not to have too many goals. Your brain can't do two cognitive tasks at the same time, so it can switch back and forth between tasks, but can't do two things at once well. And I don't know about you ladies out there, but for me, I always pride myself on the fact that I can multitask. And my husband always says, no, I can do one thing at once. Like, that's all my focus is on that one thing. I think I can do more than one thing at once. But Conlon's saying that that's not actually the case. You can switch back and forth, and I understand what she's saying. It's relatable, absolutely. She also says that to be more successful with your goals, you have to write them out. So writing them out. Also, if you make a public commitment, so you tell others, especially people that you respect, not that you don't respect your spouse, but don't tell your spouse. She suggests telling other people. So it's almost more like more is riding on the promise that you've made now because you've made it public. Conlon says that you shouldn't set yourself up for failure. So in terms of goals, she said there are ways to make goals. She has a bunch of acronyms in this book that she likes to use, one of which is SMART, SMART. So S stands for specific, M stands for measurable goals, A, attainable goals, realistic goals, the R, and then the T is time bound. She says that you cannot have a goal without the time component in it. You can't just have this goal that's just kind of sitting there. It needs to have some sort of time associated to it, like you will accomplish said goal in 6 months or in a year or in 2 weeks, whatever, but you need to have a time frame as well. And don't set the goal if you don't really believe you can achieve it. She talks about basically New Year's resolutions. On January 1st, tons of people have, the weight loss goal. And she's saying if you don't actually think you can lose 100 pounds by a certain date, don't set that as your goal because you're just going to get disappointed. You're going to disappoint yourself. She says that organizing your goals is very important, and you should organize your goals based on perceived importance. So what are the most important goals? And then you organize your goals like that. And she always suggests to write this stuff down. Conlon says time is money, especially if you are self-employed. So some tasks just shouldn't be done. Some tasks need to be stopped. And she suggests you have a stop doing list as opposed to a to-do. It's a stop doing list. So choose what you do with your time wisely, she says. And for instance, if you can afford to pay someone to mow the lawn or to grocery shop, we have those services now that we can use online. But she's just saying if there are ways that you can free up your time to focus on the tasks and goals that you have that are important to you, then do that. She says that what is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. And that's from Dwight Eisenhower, the 34th President of the United States. Apparently, he was a master in terms of time management. So I'll say it again: what is important is seldom urgent, and what is urgent is seldom important. So the urgent is you do it right now. The urgency, she says, is usually highlighted by someone else. So at work, for instance, if you're working for someone else and are not self-employed, she says the important is connected to longer term goals. You basically plan for its inclusion in your week, and these things become urgent if you ignore them, of course. Conlon talks about the Eisenhower matrix. I'm not going to go into it here. You can Google it if you're interested, but basically it's like categorizing your tasks into different categories. There's the urgent and important and less important, important and less urgent, and less important and less urgent. So yeah, there's a lot of information on that online. She suggests to use your calendar, a date, make sure it's date and time specific, and you use your calendar for larger bodies of work, she suggests, and always write things down. She says, and I'm guilty of this, your inbox is not an organizational tool. Cluttered inbox leads to a cluttered mind. So sometimes people, like myself, like to leave their emails, even mark them as unread if it's something that's on your to-do list so you won't forget. She's saying this is not a good idea. And with your email, you should remember another acronym, the FAT method. F, capital A, capital T. So capital F, file, capital A, act, capital T, trash. And if you can deal with an email in 2 minutes or less, she suggests you do it immediately. If you can file, for instance, if you can reply to something really quick, do it. As she said, otherwise you're going to have to like put that into your weekly calendar and allocate time to deal with that. And don't make it overwhelming for yourself. So you can allocate, 10 minutes at a certain time to deal with your inbox and to try to declutter and file and trash what needs to be trashed. So she says that a to-do list is also not good. So don't use your email as your organizational tool, your inbox rather, and don't use a to-do list because it doesn't really organize your time. I'm also guilty of that. I like to-do lists, but apparently it's not good because you're not putting, unless you're going to make it very specific and detailed, it doesn't help you in terms of organizing your time. It just tells you what needs to be done, not necessarily even in order of priority or urgency. So she suggests that you take regular breaks with your work. Keep a notepad with you so you can write thoughts down also as they come. She says that often very creative thoughts happen when you're not working. So if you take that 5-minute break, and she does suggest 5 minutes, and you go for a quick walk or you do something else, so you go make some tea. Often your creative juices start flowing in those moments when you're kind of away from your desk or wherever you're working. She talks about things like mindfulness and meditation to quiet the mind, and she talks about the importance of putting only positive thoughts in your mind. She also talks about the importance of starting kind of small, starting close to home. So especially if you work from home, but say you don't, either way, she says clean your room. Make your bed, clean your room. It reminds me a lot of Jordan Peterson. So yes, clean your room. And she said this will just make you feel lighter. This will make you more organized. She describes different ways to go about doing this. Where to start. Start with one side of your room where you're going to put aside things that you want to donate or trash or recycle. Start small. Start with your closet, your dresser. And she said also like allocate time for this too, so it's not overwhelming, 30 minutes a day, for instance, something like that. And she said, don't hold on to stuff you're no longer using or wearing. It doesn't matter what you spent on it 3 years ago. And this is something that I hear all the time or read all the time in the books that I read. I just read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and he says basically the exact same thing too. People get hung up on how much they spent for something X number of years ago. Yep. No, if you don't use it, if you don't wear it within 6 months, apart from seasonal items, then you should discard of these things. So Conlon says schedule decluttering time in your calendar, in your schedule. This is important. Only go shopping when you need something. Something else I could take to heart. She mentions Marie Kondo. I have a feeling everyone's heard of her. She was like all the rage on Netflix a few years ago, or maybe more than a few years ago. But the idea of decluttering, the idea of holding something in your hands, and if it sparks joy, you keep it. If it doesn't, you let it go. Conlon also suggests the whole one in, one out idea. So, get rid of one sweater if you really want another sweater that you don't actually need. She talks about getting control of your social media, putting time limits on that, 30 minutes a day, for instance, organizing your technology. She talks about organizing electronics, how to organize your electronics, how to organize your closet, how to organize your pictures and your folders and your files and your papers. She talks about how to get organized in all areas of your life, which is very, very useful. And she also talks about the importance of eating well and the importance of sleeping 8 hours a night. She also talks about eating the frog. So I don't know if anyone's heard of this expression before, but I believe it was coined by Brian Tracy. I'd read it in one of his books before, and she says that this is Brian Tracy that came up with this idea. Anyway, eating the frog is getting the hard thing out of the way first. Like, eat the frog, don't actually eat the frog, eat the frog, do the hardest task first that you have in your to-do list, and it will just completely change your day. If you get the hard thing done, the rest is going to be easy. So that's the idea behind that. She talks about habit formation, and that you need to have a burning desire for the habit, and for the goal, really. If you don't have a desire to acquire a new habit and to work toward a goal, then you're not going to achieve those things. She also says that you should schedule a weekly review in your calendar. So, and make it a calendar event. So you review tasks for the week ahead, and you kind of see if you've accomplished the tasks that you had set out for yourself in the previous week. And if you haven't, then put it back on the calendar and allocate time for it. But then you also have to reassess, why didn't I accomplish that task this past week? What's going on there? If something keeps getting rescheduled, she says you should really ask yourself why and question whether it's actually a priority for yourself. I found this book very interesting. She has a lot of great ideas in terms of getting yourself organized in all areas of your life. So if you would like some tips on how to do this as well, then I would suggest you check out her book. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Also, if you haven't already, subscribe and like, and until next time.